Okay, so we're out here with the electric 9N today, and could be simple, it might be complex. I guess we'll see how it goes. But the plan is remove these top two modules, these front two modules. You can see the difference in the white wires compared to the orange wires. These are ones that I spliced into. Let's see some previous videos. So I did a very crude way to kind of separate these from 14 to 7 cells per module. And I'm going to remove those. They seem to have the most variance battery to battery, and as far as the cell voltages. And what I want to do is basically I'll have all the same complete 14 series modules. And then I've also got this guy, which is the Evinetic Soliton Jr. that will be replacing this Curtis controller. So let's see if I can get this all done in an evening. There's a tractor show this weekend that I'd like to make. Okay, so we got all the batteries off. We got new ones, old ones, and I'm actually just going to leave these all hooked up like this because they are in series at this point. So I will measure the polarity of these, mark them with the Sharpie, and then start bolting them on and get this motor controller swapped out. Alright, so this is one of those things. I should have known better than this, but if you can see, I tried to put that onto there, and didn't think anything about it. I just had connected this one to this one, and oh yeah. But what I had kind of a change of plans. I hadn't really drawn this out. I realized that I couldn't have the same amount in series. I had to flip this one. And so I thought about it over here, I thought about it over here, went to just make the logical connection. No gloves on, thought it was everything okay, and that kind of thing happens. So that's what you want to avoid. More gloves, more drawing this out. So this is where we step away and go get dinner, and we can think about where that guy needs to go in a little bit. Okay, so it's next day, and I am top balancing these modules, which I probably should have already done, but I noticed this connector was loose, and I was double checking the voltages of all the modules. So I've kind of linked some of them, like see here, so you can charge two at once, and that can be helpful to get even closer. Like if the starting voltages are really close within you know, a couple points, then it's okay. So I did that. This one worked great, the voltages match up, everything's happy. This one I checked this, and it should have been the same, like I had them tied just like this on both sides, but the bottom one was 50 and this one was 57. I said, what in the heck? And I realized that was loose. So now I've got to go through, and I'm just charging the one. And what I use to charge, I think these are like YZ Power or something like that. Not even a name on it, but from AliExpress, and it's a scooter charger. So this is a 14S scooter charger, and it just bumps them all up to 58.8, and it has an auto cutoff. And I just made my own little leads over here. So I'm top balancing all of the modules now, making sure everything's happy, all the modules are close, cell voltages are close. If I had an active BMS, I wouldn't have to do any of this, but I don't. So that's what I'm doing now. Right, so I just got off the phone with buddy John, who has helped me before after I hooked up the last battery configuration wrong, and he informed me this is incorrect. So I'm going to make some changes, and it's just one of those things, like before I accidentally hook up to a dead short, I like to ask one other person, and John is an electrical engineer, so I'm lucky to have that. And basically I'll be changing, this is wrong, this will go over here, and then this is also wrong, so I'm going to move that over here. And so we'll do that real quick, test the voltages, and hopefully it'll be okay. Alright, it's time for the test to see if we hook this all up right. So I got multimeter. I'm going to go negative to here. This is where the motor controller will get it. Positive, I'm going to go to up here. And we've got 117, which is perfect. So that is a fully charged 28 in series. So if you do 28 times 4.2, you should get 117 or something close. So that's good. Now I can go ahead and hook up my positive and hook up my 12 volt and see what happens. Getting kind of the last of it sorted here, and you can see we're getting a little creative with fasteners, so I just hacksawed this off and filed it, and so now this can go to the motor controller. Beautiful. And this is going to have enough length for us to easily do it. Only 80 horsepower going through that little battery cable. What could go wrong? Looking good. I'll keep charging the 12 volt battery, and then I'll come out here, and I've got this little DC-DC converter that I want to hook up. Then we can do the last connections and test this thing out. Okay, so it's all hooked up. So you can got the DC to DC converter all wired up. So we turn this on, which is the main DC to DC converter, and now this, it turns on, fans kick on, our green light is faintly on, and the red light is on. So in the normal operation of these things, if it red light turns off, green light goes on, then it's ready to go, but it's saying something is wrong. Luckily for us, we got the OG copy of the owner's manual. And so I'm going to go into the web interface and see what's going on. So we can turn this off, turn the master off, and now I'll Ethernet into this. Here is what we got. So it has errors. So 12 volt supply too high. Let's see what happens if we hit clear errors. Pre-charge. So it says voltage too low. And then we'll go through here. It knows the serial number. This is so hard to get the thing to show. And then this tells us what we need to do. So down here, we have got the different things. And these are not, okay, minimum battery voltage is 120. And we want this to be 90 for this setup, because it that will be like low, and at full current, I believe this will also be 90. And then maximum battery current, so 600, that's what we want. We want all the juice. Maximum motor voltage. We're going to put 120. I think it's 117. Maximum motor current 600. Okay, so let's set. Let's see if that stayed. Yep, 90, 120. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's try it and see what we got. I think I can disconnect. Uh-oh. All right, so now we'll calibrate the throttle while we got this thing hooked up. So this is the minimum. Calibrate min throttle. All right. Then we're going to calibrate max throttle. Just in case. Max throttle. Okay. Okay. And I think we can turn this off. I don't have a tachometer on this. Okay. Yeah, 90. Okay. Let's see what happens. Still giving me an error. Oh, I wonder if it's giving me an error because I had the throttle in max. It could be that. Maybe it needs the throttle in min to start. Oh ho! Error is off. We're in business. All right, we'll disconnect this and do a test drive. We just got everything tuned up, and I believe it's ready for a test drive. So, can hook this back. The lowest setting, okay. Nothing. Red's off, green's on. Okay. I just realized my PTO is still on and the hitch is on, so that's no good. So, all right, let's try again. We can go into second gear this time. Pull this all the way down. It seems to not want to start with that. That's a good safety feature. I like having that light right on top. I'm glad this worked out. A lot of the throttle is not getting used. I think we're going to load this thing up on a trailer now. Everyone's good. Yeah. Okay, so here's the flyer that was at the tractor pull. So there was a couple classes. There's two main ones, the pure farm stock and the farm stock. So the farm stock could have modifications, and I asked them, is a electric conversion farm stock, and they said, sure, you get to run in that class. So I was on that sled, and the smallest weight that they had there was 3,500 pounds.
8-14. Stephen Murphy with a green flag, waiting to start. Let's see how this electric Ford will do. Henderson is second, and third will go to Abraham Carney with a 2:35.51.
So the result of the tractor pull was less than ideal. Hopefully it would have, reared the front end up and made a full pull and shown up all the gas structures, but didn't go that way. And a couple reasons. One, these tires are not tractor tires. They have, pretty shallow, and so that was a disadvantage. A guy named Nick Fisher really helped me out, and you could tell I was just totally clueless first tractor pull, and a lot of people were really curious about the tractor and could see just interested. And Nick was also a Ford tractor guy, and he said, oh man, let's get some weight on that thing. And in the short time we had, very much helped to get the tractor set up. He came, checked out, made sure that the hitch was the right height, and we did all that. And he actually found a bunch of weight for me too. So the tractor was 2750 with me on it. I'm 200 pounds, and so he found 700 pounds of weight between his weight and a friend's weight, and we pretty quickly got the tractor up to 3,400 pounds. The video that you just saw, it basically wasn't able to get the sled moving at first, and just spun the tires. And from my perspective, there's actually smoke coming off the top of these things. They got so hot, and they're 350 pound a piece, so that was kind of crazy to me. And from there they reset the sled, and I was able to pull it 46 feet, and I think the class winner was 103. And what caused the tractor to not to quit, it just ran out of power, which I thought was really strange, because it had 80 horsepower, and I mean, it should have had a tremendous amount of torque. And so I was kind of bewildered. I figured it would have done a wheelie, or the tires would have spun or something, but turned it off for a couple seconds. They unhooked the sled, and then I turned right back on it. It drove again, and so I drove it off, get out of the way. I was really confused, and my first thing was there must be a hot wire. There must be something kind of weird, because for it to have had a voltage cutout, which is the only thing that was programmed into this thing, it must have had so much resistance somewhere, and it could have been the motor, it could have been a wire, but the likely place was a wire. It didn't blow the fuse, I didn't hear a pop, and the fact that it started back on, it must have had high resistance. So this cable here was the one that I just installed. I knew it was way too small. It's all I had on hand, and I mean, it was like a noodle. Here, it moves a lot, but it was made waves through it. And I also did some troubleshooting to see about the cell voltages too, so I'll show you that. Alright, we're in debrief after the tractor pull. So I noticed that there were loose wires after the fact, and so I want to do some diagnosing and see what actually happened. If it was this set of two is different from this set of two, so that tells me that this also got really hot, and I think that I can set a second one of those down there between those batteries. I don't think that would hurt anything, and might just go to a thicker gauge cable there, but I got options. So after the tractor pull, I did something a lot of people there didn't do. They kind of bring a tractor to either show or to pull, and there were some interesting tractors I'd seen, engine swapped. One had a big hit and miss engine on it, and so I parked up in that row with those guys, and I chalked the tires and left and walked off after I answered some questions, and people just kept walking by it. It's obviously not polished, it's just something I built in my backyard, but there's a lot of interest about it, and hopefully, despite the fact tractor pull is kind of abysmal, or just a learning experience, I think a lot of people just kind of got the grasp, kind of explain what I did and what I want to do next with it. So I know coming up I have already done some things, so I'll show you. I did this and this. So I added one, checked all the wires, and then I deleted the switch that I had here. I don't think it did anything because inside of the Soliton it actually has it's big contactors. They're basically like large relays, and so those are internal to this, so you don't need an external one. And so deleted that for less resistance. That switch could also have been a lot of resistance. So I've done that, and the next thing that I really need to do will be replacing these itty bitty cables. And to do that, I would really like to clock the motor in a different orientation to get better access to this side, because this is where the terminals are. So that's the plan, and I know I want to get it all taken apart for paint, and I also know that I would like to get it to where the hood fits on it nicely. So that's the next goals, and I hope to be out at another tractor pull next year. It was a really fun test. I learned a lot about the tractor that I don't think I would have ever kind of known just out here, you know, playing with a crane or boat trailer. So hope that was informative, and yeah, I'll let you know what happens to it next.